Hello and welcome. We spend our entire lives communicating, but we rarely stop to think about how it actually works. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the unspoken conversation that's happening all around us, all the time.
So just think about this for a second. What if the real message, the thing that tells you whether to trust someone, to believe them, to like them, has almost nothing to do with the words they're actually saying?
Because that's the big idea we're diving into today. And this isn't just about reading body language. Oh no, it's way deeper than that. We're talking about a super complex system that our brains are constantly decoding, mostly without us even realizing it. Now, there's a fancy academic term for this: multimodality. It sounds a little intimidating, I know, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It just means that we never communicate in just one mode. It's more like we're conducting an orchestra of signals. Our words, our tone, our facial expressions, the images we use, and all those pieces have to work together to create one clear meaning.
And right here is a really crucial point. We have to separate the medium from the modality. Think of the medium as the delivery truck. It could be a TV screen, a website, a piece of paper. The modality, on the other hand, is the actual package being delivered, the signal itself. So, for example, written text is a modality. You can see it on a screen or read it in a book. The delivery truck changes, but the package, the text, is still the same.
All right, so how does all this theory actually play out in real life? Well, this is where it gets personal. This is about how we navigate our social world every single day, making these snap judgments about people without even knowing we're doing it. Which brings us to a huge, fundamental human question. When you're talking to someone, how can you tell if they're being real with you? How do you know if they're being genuine? Well, it turns out your brain actually has a little built-in authenticity detector. And what that detector is looking for is consistency. Researchers call this concept redundancy. It just means our brain is constantly checking to see if all the different signals someone is sending, their words, their face, their tone, are all telling the exact same story. It's like our own internal fact checker. So here's a super simple example. Imagine someone tells you, "I'm happy," and at the exact same moment, their face lights up with a big, genuine smile. See? The verbal mode and the visual mode are perfectly aligned. They're redundant. And because of that consistency, we instantly believe them. The message feels true. But what happens when those signals clash? Let's say the person still says the words, "I'm happy," but their face is an angry scowl. Total conflict, right? The verbal mode is saying one thing, but the visual mode is screaming something else entirely. So which one do you trust? Yeah, you're going to believe the face, not the words. And the reason why is absolutely fascinating. It comes down to this idea called emotional leakage. The theory is pretty simple. It's fairly easy for us to control our words and say what we want to say, but it's way, way harder to control all the tiny involuntary muscles in our face or the subtle shifts in our voice. So when the words and the face don't match up, our brain instinctively assumes the face is leaking the truth. It's just a more reliable signal. Okay, so this isn't just happening subconsciously in our daily chats. This exact same principle gets used very strategically, very deliberately in the world of media to shape exactly how we perceive a message. You gotta understand, in professional media, almost nothing is an accident. Every little signal is carefully engineered to build a specific feeling in the audience. And what they're almost always trying to build is two of the most valuable commodities in the world: authority and trust. In fact, researchers who've studied this stuff, like in TV cooking shows, have found a whole toolkit of what they call legitimation strategies. These are all the different tactics a host can use to make you believe that they know what they're talking about, from leaning on their personal story to calling on age-old traditions. You've heard this a million times, right? A chef on TV says something like, "This is my mama's secret recipe." They're not just giving you instructions, they're using personal authority. They're tapping into all those warm, fuzzy, trustworthy feelings we have about family and home cooking. It's so simple, but it's incredibly effective. Or how about this one? A host says they're making a pizza the classic Italian way. What are they doing there? They're using the authority of tradition. They're basically borrowing credibility from an entire country's culinary history to make their own recipe feel more authentic and special. And get this, it's not even just about the words. The background, the setting, sends a hugely powerful signal all on its own. Take a scientist filming a video. If they're outside in nature, they seem more relatable, more approachable, but put that same exact person in a lab coat, surrounded by beakers and books, and suddenly the setting itself screams expert. The message changes, even if the script doesn't. So, we've seen how these signals are instinctual and how they can be professionally crafted. But in the digital age, something totally new is happening. Now we have the tools. We can take all these signals apart and put them back together to create entirely new meanings. And you know exactly what I'm talking about, the internet meme. Memes are maybe the best example of this whole thing. They take a piece of media, a photo, a clip, that already has its own built-in meaning, and then they completely recontextualize it, slapping new text on top to create this layered inside joke. And what's wild is that memes tend to evolve in two key ways. One path is called pragmatic entrenchment, which basically means people just keep building on the original joke. But the other path, repragmatization, is where things get really interesting. That's when people take the format of a meme and completely repurpose it to say something totally new, sometimes something very serious or political.
All right, let's bring this all home. From that gut feeling you get when someone seems dishonest, to the way a cooking show host builds your trust, to the way a meme can evolve online, it's all part of this same huge unspoken conversation. So, what have we learned? First, communication is so much more than just words. Second, our brains are hardwired to look for consistency in all the signals we receive to decide if something is authentic. Third, media creators are experts at engineering these signals to build authority. And finally, digital tools have given all of us the power to become meaning makers, to remix culture in powerful new ways.
And look, this really matters. I mean, we are swimming in an ocean of these multimodal messages every single day. Being able to decode this hidden language, to see how meaning is being built, is an absolutely critical skill for just getting by in the modern world. And that leaves us with one last, and maybe kind of scary question. As technology like AI and deepfakes gets better and better at faking it, at creating perfectly aligned signals that are completely false, our old instincts might not be enough. The unspoken conversation is evolving right before our eyes, and the biggest challenge we're all going to face is learning how to listen all over again.